Hello everyone and welcome to my indie game first look for the Coma 2 Vicious Sisters. Just right off the bat, this game was given to me for free by either the publishing company or some representatives of their marketing team, so keep that in mind when I'm talking about this game. The publisher of the game is Head Up, which has been very giving to me of games to talk about. They've quite a few of the games I've talked about has come from them, giving them to me, which is nice. And the developer is a company called Dev Espresso Games. So what is this game? This game is a Korean survival horror adventure game, and I gotta say, the way the game was just a very pleasant surprise to me, because at the same time I got messages about playing this game, I got other messages from another company about playing a game that looked like it was just going to be another generic first-person Steam horror game, which we got thousands of those. And my most negative of this video series ever was for a game like that called Typical Nightmare, which I'll link. I'll link if you guys want to see how bad I can get when I'm getting super negative about a game. But this game I'm going to be very positive about. So as you can see from what I should be showing at this point, the game has a kind of a manga style to it, a comic book style to it, which is very nice. I do like the graphics quite a lot to it, and I think it's got very well animated and very well drawn graphics to it. And with the way it looks, and with like the opening cutscene to it, it kind of gives you a little bit of a bait and switch, especially if you don't know what you're getting into, because it seems like it's going to be like a simple slice of life story for a young girl named Mina Park who is in school. She talks about how she's visiting her friend all the time who is in a coma. Unfortunately, I did not play the first Coma game, so I'm not sure if that's a reference to the first game or not, but I have my suspicions that it is. But then as she leaves visiting him to go to school, she goes to the school and she has this, oh, am I going to date this boy? Am I not going to date this boy? I just don't know. You know, just typical teen drama kind of stuff going on. But then she has to stay late for a class one evening to, I think, to study and take tests and things like that. They say she leaves school at 10 p.m., which I don't know if that's typical in Korea or not, but I don't think I ever left school. When I was in school, I don't think I ever stayed until 10 p.m. taking tests for a class, but I don't know if that's just because of my horrible United States education system. So I said she's leaving the school kind of late at night, and she sees one of the nerds in the school that was getting picked on earlier entering into a room that's typically locked. Well, she goes in there to see what's going on. He's not there anymore, but she finds this really weird book, and she ends up collapsing. After she collapses, these ominous people appear around her saying ominous things, and then she wakes up and she's in this nightmare world called the Coma. Now, this world is some kind of weird spiritual doppelganger of our world that's gone really evil, and it's full of spirits and other kinds of malevolent forces. And you follow poor Mina Park as she just tries to navigate this world and trying to figure out what's going on, because she obviously has no idea. So the gameplay itself is based around managing, like most survival horror games, obviously, it's around managing your health. There's also a stamina bar which controls how much you can run. So you can't just run infinitely away from monsters and things of that nature. And there's an inventory system it gives you healing items or items to increase your stamina. And you can buy these items from vending machines that lay around, or you can find them in lootable duffel bags or backpacks that are laying around the area. And Mina also has a strange lighter. That's what it's listed as in your inventory. That I'm not sure why it's a strange lighter necessarily. However, it does light up the area, and it is required for you to have that lighting up an area in order to loot things. But it also makes monsters notice you easier, so you do have to be careful about how often you have that out. But you also want to have it out as much as possible, because otherwise you can't loot items without it, and you may not even know that you're missing something that could be looted. Fortunately for you, the game eases you into this whole system very, very slowly and very easily, so that you can kind of acclimate yourself to what's going on and figure out what's happening. The very first dangers that you'll end up having are these static things, there'll be shadows hanging from the ceiling that are moving around, or you'll see corpses hanging from the ceiling, and that means that there's either a claw or falling corpses that will land on you if you walk underneath them. So the idea is you run underneath them, or do this little dodge jump kind of move that the game gives you that eats up a lot of stamina, but make sure that you get past these things safely. And there will also be floor hazards as well, like in the opening section of when you're in the high school, it's corpses that will try and claw at your legs. And of course, those dangers are where the inventory items come in. If you get hit by the claws or whatever, you end up starting to bleed, and if you start to bleed, that means that your temporary maximum health is lower until you cure the bleeding with one of your inventory items, or you'll just take damage, which means you need to get an item that will heal you. The game is fairly generous with those from what I've seen thus far. I'm several hours into the game thus far, but I have not yet been in super danger, because the game is fairly generous as long as you explore and loot everything with how many items that they just kind of give you. Also, while you're exploring and looting, you'll find these things called torn pages laying around in the various environments that you'll end up navigating. And these pages are telling a backstory for various characters throughout the game, and typically they'll be the character that was just introduced to you or is most important to the particular area where you're at. Because as you'll learn a little bit later in the game, the Coma is actually a kind of reflection of human emotional states, whether collectively or from a single person. So human emotions and human events and like traumatic events shape the areas in the Coma. So these backstories kind of tell you what happened in that particular area to kind of cause things to go the way that they have. And that's shown the most vividly, as far as I've found so far, in the one for the first area, this high school, where you find notes about, I believe, if I'm reading them right, the notes are about your teacher, Miss Son, who's your English class teacher. And her family has a long history with this particular area, as you learn later in the game, and as you learn through the notes that you end up finding, things go fairly badly, things go fairly traumatically, and because of this, they ended up running afoul of a particular entity that inhabits this area called the Vicious Sister. Just singular. I don't think I've met the other one yet. And this entity hates your teacher so much that she actually takes her form as a twisted and demonic version of her, but still she looks like her and talks like her as well, which kind of tricks poor Mina Park when you first meet her. And after you meet her, that's when the game first teaches you about the main danger that's going to be chasing you around throughout this game. As it turns out, the Vicious Sister is quite powerful in this world, and she has many of these flesh golem type creatures that are doing her bidding and will chase you throughout the various maps. And as the game is quite kindly doing for you automatically in the first encounter, you find out that all these hiding spaces you've been finding throughout the map are actually places to hide from these monsters. Now, each of these, of course, have their own varying levels of security to them. Some of them are just hiding under a desk, which is not terribly secure, and some of them are hiding in a locker or a bathroom stall, which are a little bit more secure. And the security in those high and low spots are reflected in how hard it is for you to stay hidden in those places. And the game reflects that through a kind of Simon Says or DDR type situation where you have to push a combination of directions within a certain time frame in order to keep hidden, hold your breath, not shout out or breathe too loudly so that the monster knows where you're at. The more safe your hiding location is, the less of those directions you have to push in order to stay hidden. But if you can't get to a hiding space in time, or if you end up screwing up the button presses and getting discovered in your hiding location, the game does still have your back. There's a slot for defensive items, in this case mace, that can be used one time in order to free yourself from being attacked by one of these monsters. However, if they catch you outside of that, they are going to do damage. They are going to cause bleeding. So you don't have a huge health bar in this game, so you can't get hit that many times. So you really have to make sure that you understand the layout of the map properly, that you know where the hiding spaces are, and that you can get away from the monster. And like I said, at first they take it very easy on you. There's not a lot of being hunted in the first area. There's more of just running from this monster in a straight line to get to the exit and then leaving. But in following areas, it is an actual like hunt. It is the monster will be hunting you down. So you really have to know where you're going and where you can run to hide if you do get caught. Fortunately, the game does give you mechanics for you to understand whether or not things are getting serious. It'll give you very, very good audio cues, because since this woman is in this woman monster rather is in high heels, you can hear her shoes clacking as she walks. So whenever you go onto a floor and you hear, the clack 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 of high heels on the floor, that means you need to not be there anymore. You need to be very careful, because the monster is on that floor. She's very, very close to you, and she will chase you down, especially if you have your lighter out. So if the monster does see you and you have to run away, then like I said, you have to duck into a room and hide somewhere. And the game is very good at this point as well about the audio cues for that too. The game has it where you can hear the monster walking back and forth, outside, out in the hallway outside, and which direction they're going, how far away they are. And then when you can't hear the footsteps anymore, you are maybe safe. Maybe safe. It's not guaranteed. There is a lot of degree of tension to the game, and it builds up over time. There's more and more of the sections of the game where you are completely unsafe and constantly being hunted by something. And like I said, I haven't got to the end of the game yet, but I'm sure it can ramp up and get even more serious. And the issue with being hunted is the thing that you have to do in every one of the locations. So in all these locations, you have these objectives that you need to complete, these quests that you need to complete. And a lot of those are basically just the exit to this area is locked or barred, and you can't get out, so you have to find the way out. Then when you find the way out, obviously it's going to be locked, so you have to find all the things that you need to get that doorway open. And this whole time you're having to navigate back and forth, explore all the rooms, explore the map, trying to find all the items you need to get out. Now on top of the main quest of basically just try to survive and get out of this area, there are also these little subquests that you'll get on the various locations. And I mistakenly thought that these were side quests that were completely optional, and technically they are optional. However, you definitely want to do them. As I said, I made the mistake of thinking I could just ignore them and not give a crap, because the side quest that I had involved rebuilding the taser in a police station, and I figured, I just won't do it. It sounds like that's a defensive item, and I don't really need defensive items. I have my mace, so I'm fine. So I'm just not going to bother building it, because it's going to require me to run all over the map and collect a bunch of different items, and that just sounds like a lot of work, so I'm not going to do it. But the game got me hard for that one, because it turns out that these subquests are things that you are doing in order to prepare yourself for these set pieces that are going to happen throughout the map. In this case, at the police station, you end up getting attacked by the monster in the cutscene, and if you have the taser, then the monster will attack you. You'll use the taser and you'll be safe. If you don't have the taser, then the monster attacks you, injures you, and then you get away. But if that happens, the game actually will permanently remove a health point from you. Like, one of your health points will just be gone. And this isn't like with bleeding, where you can just use a bandage to get rid of the bleeding and increase your health bar back. No, it is gone. And not only is it gone, but the main character will also show signs of that damage on her character model as well from that point forward. So it's just another little touch that they show your character suffering permanent injuries as your health level is actually your maximum health level rather is decreasing. It's very interesting. So that wraps it up about my main points about the Coma 2 Vicious Sisters. Like I said, it was a pleasant surprise for me, especially given the way that the art style was kind of looking and the way the game kind of opens up. I was kind of questioning, like, I don't know about this game. But then as I got into it and actually started playing through the horror elements of it, it picked up really quickly and got really enjoyable and kind of did what it's supposed to do. It keeps everything kind of tense. It has good gameplay in it. It's got this being hunted feeling to it without being annoying, which some games can get, where it's that the monster is hunting you around, but you can avoid them, you can get around them. And it hasn't felt at any point that the difficulty is unfair or the monster hunting you down has been unfair. The game gives you ample warnings. It gives you ample ways to get away from it. It gives you lots of items to get through the area safely, as long as you're, being safe and playing the game reasonably well. It's been very lenient and very fun for me thus far, and it's probably going to be one of the few games that I've gotten for free for this series that I'm actually going to end up completing all the way, because I am enjoying myself so much with it. Now, if this game has looked appealing to you and you think there would be something that you would like to check out, this game is out on the Nintendo eShop, the PlayStation Store. It's on Steam. It's on GOG. It's $15 in all those places, and from everything I've played thus far, I would definitely say that is worth the price. I would have happily played that if I was not so generously given it for free to check out. And I hope if any of you guys do check it out, I hope you all have a good time with it as well. Thank you for coming by. I'm DarkChiron, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.